And of course, today we are looking at how to connect after networking on social media. So getting that engagement and that interaction. And you definitely are excellent at doing that. I've seen how you really engage with people and get that conversation going. So let's have a good chat about that and give some tips out as well, because we can go to networking events, and obviously with Connect Her we have multiple events all around Australia. I think we're running about 14 at the moment, and you can go to a networking event, but what happens afterwards? Because if you don't do anything with the people that you've met, you might as well not have attended. So that's my take on it. So what are your thoughts on that, Kylie?
Well, I think that is the thing, isn't it? Like, if you don't, I'd actually almost go back maybe a step further though, because before I go, I sort of think in a really random way, like I sort of think, okay, who do I want to meet today? Like I just put it out to the universe. Who do I want to meet today? Sometimes I don't know. I just want to meet someone that's nice, or someone that I can talk to, or someone that's something. So I go in with a plan almost of what's in my head, but then there is that step of how do I want to connect with people, and that always comes from it's not even just networking; it's just anything.
Absolutely. Now, I should have asked you to give us a little overview of you and your business, because you are the wife of a defence personnel. So you are moving around regularly, and you are also the leader of our Defence Divas Connect Her networking event, which is specifically for women that are in that situation, because you don't have a set network when you move. Like, it's a whole new sphere for you. So before we get right dug down, let's hear more about you.
Yeah, so I'm a defence spouse. I'm a creative transformologist, which I've been doing for over 3 years now. And I got into that at the end of another business because I didn't really have a job, and I couldn't keep doing that business because I was a makeup artist for 17 years. So I used to go, and every time we'd move, and people move a lot in defence. Often, some people don't ever move, which is great for them. We have lived this is our 21st home in 20 years, so we have moved a lot. Sometimes it's just within a place, like we stay there for a bit, so then we buy a house or whatever. But 21 homes in that many years is a lot of times. But the other thing that we've done, I guess, in our life of defence, it's been, we moved to Townsville and then we moved to Wodonga. And that was all pre-Facebook. And then by the time we got to the next one, which was Nowra, Facebook was just sort of coming in, but I was still in touch with the ones that I'd lived with, people that I'd lived with in Wodonga. Then we moved back to Townsville. So that was the first time I'd gone back to somewhere. And I had this belief or a perception that I was going to move back, and I had all my friends from there because we'd lived there before and it was going to be really easy. But the Townsville people were before Facebook, and it wasn't easy. And I saw a few of the friends, and they weren't my friends anymore. Like that, we were friends, but we weren't really acquainted. And business clients, they came back because I'd still been in touch with them enough regularly, like with newsletters and things like that, but still old snail mail way. And then we moved back to via Brisbane, but then we moved back to Wodonga. But Wodonga, I had all my friends post-Facebook, so we'd all been still in touch, and we'd all still been connected, and we knew what was going on in our lives, and we just clicked back together. Not all of us, but most of us.
So are you finding that Facebook has made it easier for all that transitioning and moving?
Yeah, I think it makes it easier in a lot of ways, but then in other ways it makes it really superficial as well. So
yeah,
it's really good if you are connected to that person, or if you have common interests and you have commonalities. But if you don't have that commonality or the common ground, it doesn't matter if you've got Facebook or not. Like, you might meet a few people so you're not so bored in the first few months, but you're not, it's no magic potion either. And I think that's the thing. Like, it gives us a false sense of security in some ways in that regard.
Oh, absolutely. And I moved from Perth to Melbourne, I think about 23 or something years ago. And I still am connected on Facebook with some of those people that I grew up with and you know, we went to their weddings and yeah, are dear friends. But if I was to go back to live in Perth, we probably don't have as much in common. And, you know, they've moved on. Some are grandparents now. And so you're right, it can lull you into a false sense of security that you've got that connection when you may not necessarily have it.
Yeah, it's not a very deep connection.
Yeah.
Which I think that's my thing. So that's a really good segue, because my thing is, even though I don't have a good connection, like, you know, I've still got a connection with people, and that you can, it's a really good way to be able to then deepen a connection by showing interest and being interested. So Facebook and social media, all social media for me, has come to a space in my business. It is a beautiful add-on and deepening connections system. As opposed to, like, I don't have a product that I sell on Facebook really. Like, sometimes I've got a call to action or whatever in business, but I don't sell products per se through the same sort of channels like a lot of people if you had a product thing.
Like if you had a shop or,
Yeah.
yeah.
So my business is, I guess, different in that, and that really that's what it is. But my business is all about connection. So people come to me because they've heard from other people. It's always a chain of, like, I won't even know that they're watching me, but they'll be watching me on Facebook, but they'll have been watching me for months. I don't even know who they are, but then suddenly I'll get a message out of the blue saying, I really want to meet up because I've been watching you for months or whatever. So yeah.
I get the same thing. All of a sudden I'll get this random phone call or random message, and they've been watching what had been happening, not necessarily on my my personal profile, but just, you know, within the sphere of social media. They see it and it pops up, and all of a sudden you get, as I said, this random message or random phone call. So now you touched on that you put out to the universe who you want to meet. Do you have like key priorities of people that you think this is the priority of the type of person that I need to connect with? So you might not necessarily meet that person, but they might know that person that you need to meet. So do you sort of
Yeah, I know that.
prioritize in your mind what you're
Well,
looking for?
so we just moved at Christmas time in January to over to Perth. So I don't know who's anyone here. So I guess actually that's been quite funny, because I've gone to different um, other networking organisations or groups or like Chamber of Commerce events or whatever, and people will say, "Oh, you work with," and my niche was always with defence and emergency service personnel and PTSD recovery and support and stuff like that, mental health education. So, but that changed a little bit this year, but because that's where I was and that's what I tell people that I do, then they'd say, "Oh, well, we know these people." You never know who you know, which is very funny, because often I know them, because defence is quite a small world. But even if you don't know, so often they'll believe that you need to meet someone or something like that. But actually, one connection I did have was that they said, "Oh, you need to meet this lady because she works with different people in business, and that she might be good for you. She's very connected. She might get you some speaking roles or whatever." And the guy said her name, and it just bugged me for 3 weeks. So I didn't ring the person, because I was like, "Oh, I just want to figure out who this person and what the connection. Why do I know this name?" Which, it's a pretty random name, so it could be anyone. Like, it's not quite Joe Bloggs, but it was close. And so anyway, 3 weeks later, I realised that I worked with her a decade ago, and we were connected that way. So so I got in touch, and so then that has been really good.
Mm.
But you have to. I don't. Yeah, I guess if I knew where I was living or what I needed, like if I was a friend of mine's business over in Queensland is fantastic, and they contract out tradesmen after cyclones and things like that to go and do all the quotes and repairs after different issues and storms. So if I was her business, I would know that I wanted to be connected with property managers and real estate agents and insurance people, and like, you know, so I don't have that exactly. Like, I guess I have an idea of you know, if I was able to be in touch with someone, but I probably wouldn't find it through networking. Those people, I need to go to them a bit differently. Like DVA people, I'd have to go through DVA.
Yeah, I get that. So obviously you're going to multiple networking events, both as a Connect Her leader because you're running events, but also you're going out to other events, whether it be, you know, some of the council events or, you know, BNIs, things like that. When you've met people, what is your next step? So even if it's online, because what I think some people over the period of time have failed to understand is even if you're going on a networking event, which is online, you still need to do that follow-up. It's just a different way that you're meeting people at the moment. So what would your next step be, whether it be online or whether it be face-to-face?
For me, that's a good example of, like, because I've gone on to some of the Connect Her meetings in Melbourne. So it's still, the next step is, for me, is always I get their details and then I'll contact them and just say it was great to meet you. Doesn't always happen straight away. Like, I've got a pile over there of names and people that I want to connect with, but I want to connect with them more intensely than just a superficial 1 hour meeting once a month. Like, I just, and say hi and get to know their face, and I want to know about their business. Sometimes, like, so actually a really great example was last week I went to a business after hours or something like that from the Chamber of Commerce, and they had this lady that I walked in at the same time, and she owns a bra shop. Now, we didn't end up talking to each other the rest of the time, but I had in my mind, I need to go and meet that lady from the bra shop because I think our paths kind of crossed over. Like, she obviously her target market is women, and I do some period coaching as well. So that really, those are the women that go to her shop, and if they've got problems, I can help her clients. And after they've come to me, if they've got a lot of women come to me with, you know, body consciousness issues, and then I resolve them. So then they leave feeling very whole and perfectly imperfect and proud of themselves. So they need, you know, sometimes a new bra and matching undies to feel as sexy or to look as sexy as they feel and stuff like that. So now I can refer them to her. And that's a beautiful, like, I won't get anything out of that, but it's a beautiful way to promote her business. And if she looks after my clients, I'm going to keep sending them to her.
Yes.
And if she's got a good business. So, and I went in there the other day just to meet up with her to say, let's have a coffee. And it ended up being that about 5 levels of my business can help her with her staff and with her family and with her friends. Like, but all I wanted was a coffee just to get to know her business better. So,
yeah. So building those synergies that are going to work for each other and support each other.
And often it's not even, for me, often I don't even have a reason to, like, sometimes they're not going to be like the bra shop. That's almost like a perfect pairing, almost a synergy. But it might be the accountant down the street. I don't need 30 accountants, but 30 of my clients might need an accountant. So it's not for me necessarily. Like, I've got my accountant or whatever. Like, I don't know what it'd be, but I might not need, I'm not buying a home, so I don't need a property manager or a real estate agent or a conveyancer or a finance broker. But if I know their business and the type of person that they want, then I can refer to them and refer well so that it's not wasting their time. And then they're going, oh, this woman keeps telling people to come to me, but they're not my customer. And if they're not my customer, I can't help them anyway. So it's just wasting my time. Like, I don't want to be annoying like that.
No.
Sideways. Like, I don't want to be a third party annoyance almost.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
you want to make sure that there's a way that it's going to work. And you used a great analogy actually on one of our lunch and learns recently about the web, and, you know, being that part of that networking web where you are connecting people. So one of the things that we touched on recently was the fact that you don't carry a business card.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
That's a little bit strategic. It's not actually. because I used to always have business cards, and I had them, but like I used to get people's business cards and then I'd put them in a file and I'd never look at them again. Occasionally I might, if I knew that I needed something or I had met someone that was along those lines, and I'd go back and get their details. But I used to put their number in my phone if I was going to be contacting them regularly. And then suddenly, when I changed business, I didn't really do enough. I didn't have a logo, which is why I actually first didn't get the business card. But I wasn't doing enough networking at that time of our lives because my husband was away and it was crazy, to warrant it. So it was very much word of mouth. But when I moved here, I just realised what a pain in the butt. Like I found, in boxes I had old business cards from 7 addresses, like, because that was my life. But it's so much easier to connect now, which is what I've learnt this year, by, I don't have a business card, but I've got a photo on my phone of what I do, and that'll come with my details. So I'll just send it to you. Give me a number. And it takes 3 seconds. Like, it's actually quicker nearly for me to text them my photo. It's not a photo of me. It's a photo of a flyer that I have, that tells people what I do. So it gives them a bit more information without having to
bombard them,
which is almost like, it's more than I could put onto a business card. Like, a business card's only, that small. So it's more info than I can put on there, but they get my number. I get their name and I just say, oh, hi, Lee, really great to meet you at blah, blah, Chamber of Commerce or whatever. Connect her this week. So here's my info and I'd love to catch up for a coffee. Well, then I don't lose them. I save them to my phone. If my phone, it's on the SIM card, so then I've got my SIM card. Like, I don't lose the number when I move. I don't lose the number when I lose that book. When I pack that book, I don't come back to it 5 years later. And I love the authenticity and the genuine. I'm a very much what you see is what you get. But I love that I can be so genuine in my message. Like, I'll find something really nice to say, which I've done for 20 years in business. If I can't think it and feel it, then I won't say it. So I always say something about, meeting them or looking forward to catching up more or to learn more. There's always something that you can say that makes another person feel a bit lighter. And in that is that often, if you can't, then you need to know them better.
Yes.
And if you need to know them better, then that's step 2 of networking.
The other thing in all of that is that you also have captured their phone number as well, so that you've got that opportunity to reconnect. That's something I've done for many years because I've run events for forever, women's networking, that I have the invitation as a photo in my favourites. And if I come across somebody and they say to me, oh, when's the next event? I can just send them the photo of the invitation, which is a generic invitation. And I've then got their phone number so that I can follow up. It's interesting. I just had somebody contact me then and said, oh, sorry, I missed the meeting today. And it's like, oh, you should have let me know or something. I missed it or something. And there's a point where you go, okay, I've made contact, but there's a difference between making contact and stalking. There's that fine line. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that stalking, which leads me to the next thing, which is what we were talking about with this today, which is social media. And obviously, people have different social media platforms that they like to hang out in. So, some have a preference for Facebook, some have LinkedIn, some have Instagram. I find people of a different era prefer Instagram than Facebook. So I suppose, we've got to go and look at where these people hang out and see if there's a way that we can connect with them without going through that stalking stage.
Yeah, because it can be a fine line, can't it?
Absolutely.
Especially if you don't know them very well. And I'll actually often, when I get clients that message me out of the blue that I've never met before, I'll go and do some stalking just to see how, if they'll fit with me, if I think I can help them. Sometimes there's a lot of clients that come that way that I can't help. So there's that stalking, superficial, just have a bit of a look and see. There is that next level of just saying, it's almost that pushy saleswoman thing, isn't it? That if you're too in their face, that you will step over that line. And that line, I guess, is ambiguous because it doesn't, yours and mine could be completely different. So I love reminders. So, and I'll have the best of intentions that I'll think, yeah, I'm going to do that meeting or whatever, and then forget all about it. And like, if you'd just send me a message, I would have done it. But there's a lot of people that would think that that was going across that line, the arbitrary, that invisible line that we just don't know. So it has given us a space of, like, I'm really respectful of that as well, because if they didn't respond back, then if I really wanted to get to know them, I would respond again and invite them to a coffee or something, like one-on-one, to try and get to know them better. But then if that was that, then it probably wouldn't go much further than that, unless they responded.
Yeah.
And then you get the ones who respond, and then they friend you, and then they invite you to the groups, and then there's a whole nother line that you like have you just crossed the line, invited me to your group and your Facebook and your personal Facebook and your and your Instagram and your next event and whatever else. Like, it's some people do it really, really beautifully and synergistically and really well. Some people come across as really pushy, but I think it's in the intention of how you're doing it. If you're doing it because they have showed interest and value, and you value them in your thing, but then there's another whole realm of that I'm a big believer in, that if their energy doesn't match yours, I don't really want them in my group, because then they're going to bring down my statistics. Like, my if I've got 100 people in my group and 95 aren't really my people,
there's no value to
trying
that
to
group.
talk to the 100 people, it's no value to any of them. Whereas if I just was okay enough in myself to say, no, I don't want them in my group because that's not my energy, so that I could focus on those who really did love me, I could give them more love, and then the energy for them. So
yes, and I agree with that energy, the matching of the energy, because you want to make sure that what you're doing is supporting somebody. You don't want to be putting your stuff on them, but you also want to be able to support them. But the other thing too is that you don't want to be doing all the work and then there's crickets on the other end, because no one loves crickets and the sound of it. So it is about that momentum and that duality of the connection.
Yeah, I'm just reading some of the messages actually that my screen must have just refreshed, because I just got 30 messages. No, about 10 messages came up, but I think it's just you'd mentioned, like, the same as what Mary said about the phone number, getting the phone number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've got that. And
getting their contact details into the phone.
Yeah. And then give their details. They want to stay in contact, which is a really good point, Carmen. And yes, Julie, it's hard. You get you get caught up, and then all of a sudden,
there's so much going on, and like, for me, you can fit so much more in, but then you shouldn't. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, just because you are at home and at Zoom all day doesn't mean that's good for your mental health or your energy or your space or.
Yeah, you need to factor in. Now, I'm going to ask you, because there's a couple of things that I have really admired about what you've been doing of late, and that is how you do connect with people after a meeting, and sharing is caring. You've been sharing the posts. You've been really interacting, and you're giving people that gift of opportunity of sharing their stuff with your tribe. You're edifying them with their skills and their business, and you're doing it publicly and creating that interaction. So I want you to share more about that interactive approach.
Well, like you saying that really, it's that is almost just who I am. Like I don't feel like I do anything special, or I don't try and do anything more than anything. One thing I do am very consciously aware of and mindful of is with the algorithms, with all these social media stuff, that the more you can interact, the more interaction that is happening on a page, the more people see that page. So if there's 100 people that like that page and you put a post on and no one likes it or does anything with it, that's kind of what I was saying. Like if you've got 95 people doing nothing, but 5 actually really care, then the algorithms will pick up on that. Whereas, so you're better off to have 5 people in your group that are super connected and interacting and building each other up and sharing your stuff and just loving on you than not. And so if I see something that I think is valuable to anyone else, then I'll absolutely share it. I try and always share with the original post as a share, rather than as a like I don't want to steal someone's stuff. There's there's memes and stuff that go around, I guess, but if they're logoed or sent through, like a big good example through Connect Her. I've actually never met her. She's never been at one of the meetings that I've been to, but the lady from Blue Butterfly Healing Centre.
Who is in Dubbo and one of our most beautiful people in our Connect Her collective. She's always, every single morning, she posts a mantra for everybody, and it is just beautiful.
So what happened is I shared it, and then she just came on and said thanks to me. And then it's a pleasure, because I get a lot of joy out of her post every morning. Like I see it and I'm just thinking, oh, I love butterflies. I connect, like I have a picture, an image on one of my quotes is the caterpillar through to the butterfly, like it's all the stages of the metamorphosis. So I love the symbolism of the butterfly, and I guess that's the thing I connect with her. I've never met her, but I connect with that concept, and I feel like that's a beautiful concept to share that my people can benefit from. And so then, but she has reached out. So after I got that message, I was like, I think I need to connect with her. I've never been to a meeting. Like that was my thing. I've never been to a meeting. So like I have to figure out where she is and stuff like that. But I can message her because she's now been in touch. So, and that happened purely through Facebook. Like she's in Dubbo. I've never met her then.
Exactly. But the beautiful thing is for Sharon, her name is Sharon Carroll, she is now on the Facebook Live, which, you know, the people that are watching this currently and then the replay and then the podcast and then the video on YouTube have just all heard about her business. And she has put those posts up to share the beautiful messages with us, with no sharing to get. It was sharing to give. And all of a sudden we've been able to repay that after months and months and months of her posting every single day. So it doesn't go unnoticed, and it comes just authentically and organically. Those sort of things happen. So that's a really good way of giving an example.
Yeah, and how she does hers, like, because I've noticed, I have had people that I've met along the way, and they will do a theme post or a whatever, but you can tell that they've been scheduled, and you can tell that they have been crafted in a moment of that's the idea, and it's very repetitive, and it's very maybe not well branded to their brand, things like that. So I'm becoming much more mindful the last few months of really focusing my brand around with my Facebook, and I'm not really on anything else. I have got LinkedIn, I have got Instagram, but I'm not really on them. But I'm aware that my brand is what's going to come through, and I'm focused on just, if I'm going to do something, I do it well, which is why I'm only on really Facebook and not really on the others, because if I can't do it well, then I don't want to leave people for 3 months. Like I just went onto Instagram the other day, and a lady had messaged me 4 months ago, and because I'm not on there, I hadn't even seen it. So I believe you have to do whatever you choose to do, just do it really well and really personally and really just be genuine, because you're like, people are good people. Most people are really good people. Sometimes we have to dig a bit deeper with some people to find the goodness, but there's always gold, and finding that gold. And in business, if you can find that gold, like I just always think, not everyone is my customer, and I am definitely not everyone else's customer. And honestly, I don't want to be everyone else's customer, because I'd be a pain in the butt, like, for them, because I don't really want their stuff or whatever. So you can try keeping flogging that dead horse, and I don't care right now. Like, that's not my thing. I don't want whatever you're selling. I don't really want that. But as soon as I hear someone who wants it, like if I know 10 people who do naturopathy, then I'm going to pick through the 10 and think who matches that person the best, or who has the best reputation, or who there'll be like an unconscious checklist that I'll be like, you should see this person, or you need to see this person. This is the person you need to talk to.
It's interesting you say that, because I know multiple accountants, and there's one that I recommend regularly based on what she shares and how she shares, how she supports people. So accountants are accountants are accountants. At the end of the day, they do numbers, they get your stuff to the tax office, and hopefully you get a refund, and they get your books organised and what have you. You know, the accountants are accountants. But this particular one, and I've talked about this in many times, I get physically ill when I think about having to go to the accountant, like seriously physically ill. And this one I use because I feel comfortable, and I still get all head up and all, over going to the accountant. But the way that this particular accountant has developed the package, it's much more calming. So when I come across people that, haven't done their tax for God knows how long, and, their books are in a mess, I know that I can recommend this accountant because of the fact that that is how they've packaged up their business. So it is about putting people with the right people.
Yeah, and I love that, because so many times, it's not just the accountant, but that's such a good analogy. Like, because so many times, if you have someone who, like the dentist, I bloody hate dentists.
I'm with you.
I can get through childbirth and labour and everything with no drugs, but take me to the dentist and I need the whole frigging works. Like, just give me the gas, give me the drugs.
I'm crying and in the corner.
I just can't
rocking myself. Yeah, I don't like the dentist. Yeah.
I can imagine, like, and I just took my kids, I got them, 2 of my kids, I got into one dental surgery and one had to go to this other one. And afterwards I was thinking, I'm overdue for mine, I need to get booked in, and I can tell you which one I won't go back to. Like,
yeah,
I'll go to that one, because even though it costs more, I'll go to that one, because the whole clinic felt nicer and the staff were calmer and the place was, I mean, the cleanliness is probably exactly the same no matter where, but
yeah. But yeah. So getting back to social media. So you've met somebody at a networking event, whether it be online or face-to-face, and I think we really have to bring the fact in that we're doing this, it doesn't matter which model you're using, it is about connecting. And when you do connect with people on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever it happens to be, that making comments and putting those, not so much likes, but loves and above. I like to say loves and above get you, get more interaction on Facebook. And don't just connect with somebody and then all of a sudden, they see you for 2 or 3 weeks while you've sold yourself, and then there's nothing, and then you disappear, because it is social media, and the reason is because it's social. So we've got to keep that social interaction going, and it is hard to stay on top of commenting on everybody's posts. But if you enjoy seeing somebody's posts, if you enjoy seeing a Facebook page or a group, then the more interaction you have, the more those will go through on your news feed, because Facebook go, oh, Kylie, you're interested in this, so I'm going to make sure that you see it more. So if you meet somebody and you want to stay connected with them, the best way to do it is to do the loves and aboves, and also the comments as well. So do you...
And Lee, oh, sorry, go.
I was going to ask what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I was just going to say, do you know that like Facebook, which is the brand, like so Facebook, Instagram, they own another one.
LinkedIn? No.
The one
WhatsApp?
that they own. WhatsApp might be WhatsApp. Anyway,
yeah.
there's like 3 or 4 under their brand. They have like 1 million points of information about every single person that's on there. Now, those points of information are not just the date of birth and the age and the name that you put in there. They even come down to, so if I'm somewhere and you're somewhere, so if I'm at my Connect Chair meeting last Thursday morning and someone else is in the same space as me, my phone and your phone will ping that they were together, and then suddenly stuff will come up that they like and that I like common ground. So those points, those 1 million points of information that they have, they're not all necessarily things that you've included or incorporated, but they will be bits of information that commonality or time, or you're shopping somewhere and things like that. And so they know all that stuff, and then they try and make you feel good, I guess is the way that they do it. So they put stuff in front of you that will keep you in that space of being on their page. So they want you to stay on their page. And you'll notice that, like over the years, originally Facebook was just that you put pictures of your kids or what you were doing or your breakfast or whatever, your dog. You put your pictures on there and you sort of said what you were doing. And then it transitioned to, it talked about businesses, and then it transitioned to selling. And then even like you could advertise, you could invite your friends to your next social gig, whatever that
your
was,
next
like
birthday party.
Yeah. And so, and now they're going to make money from their birthday party invitations. If you're going to run an event, they're going to make money. So they like, you know, now they advertise. So if you've got a business and you know, sponsored posts and boost posts, all that sort of stuff, it transitions. It goes from free to then like it's their business and they are making money from it and things like that. But we need to be aware of it and understand it to be able to understand how that affects us and impacts us. So if I want to be associated with certain things, sometimes being associated with other things, it's the same as our kids, really. Like I sort of tell my kids, you are your 5 people that you hang around the most. You're the 5 pages that you look at the most on Facebook. Like Facebook only shows you 5 or 10 pages, like over and over, or then it'll refresh and it'll go back to scroll to the top of the screen, like right when you're reading the middle of something. And and you'll be like, oh, who even posted that, so I can find it again. So
exactly, and
awareness of how it's working to how then you can incorporate that into your business.
Look, a simple thing was, this was a couple of years ago now, I cut my hand quite badly. And I posted, oh, I've cut my hand quite badly with a, you know, I think I put a photo up of it. Down the side news feed was Band-Aids, Savlon, you know, all this based on what my post was. Now, I truly believe that Siri listens to us, because so often, I have Siri on my phone because I love it and I use it all the time. But you can be talking and then all of a sudden you have not been on your phone, you have not done anything on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and all of a sudden it comes up through your news feed or through sponsored messages, sponsored ads, something that you've been talking about.
There is a way to turn that off. I'm not the expert in that, but I used to say that often. My husband's in defence, and he was like, "Oh, don't be stupid." And then when he went overseas a few years ago, so he had to get next level security clearance or something, and then he was working in a like a UN sort of a thing, as opposed to just an Australian base. And some of the other countries had these rules that you had to have your phone done for a certain lot of things. And so he sent me the instruction phone. Well, 3 phones later, I have no idea what those instructions were, but it can be turned off.
Yeah.
But even, I don't think it's just Siri. I think it's the whole experiential phone thing now. I think it's all of it. It's the Facebook or the Google Maps or the whatever it is. Yeah.
Or what you look at, and what you look at on your on your search and all that sort of thing. Absolutely. So so social media after a networking event, stay connected, keep it personalized.
That's my biggest thing. Keep it personal.
Yeah.
Get to know them deeper, because if you don't know them and their business deeply and intimately, you can't be a good referral source for them. If you refer business to me, I am going to bloody well love you, because, well, I'm a business person and I like business.
Yeah.
You're probably not my customer, because not everyone is, but if you refer clients to me, I will think you are the bee's knees and I will treat you accordingly. And then that's where I go the next step, and I then would thank someone, or if they were the connection person or piece, I might even send that, depending on what the client, like what the referral was, I'd send them a bottle of wine. So I'd make it then personal, local to them. So especially in this day and age, you can find stuff everywhere, and I can go on and find something in my old hometown, or I can find something in England, where if I've got someone there, like I can find something to send to someone to make it personal, because it's business and you look after the people who look after you.
Yeah. And just on that, I use a company called Send Out Cards, where I can send something. No, it's not local, but I can add a gift to a card to show my appreciation. So I tend to find that that's something that I use quite regularly, because it's something that I can do.
Well, I love that that's easy for you. Like I love that idea, because it's something that's really easy. It's just one click or whatever you can do, and it's done. Whereas it does sometimes take a bit of time and effort to figure out where the person is, what's close to them, or what would be able to travel there well, or whatever.
Where I find if I've got to do that, I don't do it. And that moment gets lost. So, that's why I use this. I find it really helpful. So we've just got a few comments. Mary Unwin has putting the giving of energy, a great story, Lee and Kylie, and also loves and aboves. It's all about the energy. And that's so true. It is about that love and above, getting out there, and it's not just about liking, it's getting that interaction and really showing up for the person that you've just connected with.
And Lee, I'll put my other hat on for a moment. Like I even noticed, when you get a few comments on something and you go through and you like them or you love them or whatever, and then a couple of days later something else will come on and there'll be a couple more comments, and then you'll do, like, you might not love those ones, but you'll like them or whatever. I have been noticing, probably because of where I'm going with my training and my self-education and things like that, at different times of the month will be different feelings. Like, so today, if I am premenstrual, and, it's really nice that you commented, so I'll just like that. But next week when I'm in ovulation, or 2 weeks, whatever, whatever it is, when I'm in the middle of ovulation, and that's a really great time for networking, and all these things come together, and those will be the days that I'll love everything. I'll be like, oh my God, that's so great. So, and the feeling of it can be different. And so sometimes if I notice I've done that on some posts, that I've liked all these ones, but then I've got then I've loved some, I'll think, oh, they deserve a bit of love as well, or I hope they don't get upset that I didn't love theirs. So then I'll put a comment there or whatever. Like, it's a very natural thing. It's just if it's a connection person, if it's someone that I really want to connect with, it's very natural.
Yes.
So whichever one you use, make it really natural, and but notice those things as well, because that can be a big thing in business. If we don't understand that about ourselves, Like maybe you shouldn't answer any messages until that time of the month that you're in that space that you feel loving everyone.
Yeah. And even I know
That's like when you get
sometimes,
conflicts and
yeah, I know sometimes, you know, a message will pop up and I might be like right in the middle of something. Instead of going, they don't need to know the answer right this very second. And I might send off that message and off it goes. And then afterwards, when time has calmed down and I'm feeling a bit more zen, and I go back and look at the message and think, oh, gee, that was a bit caustic. So, you know, because
be aware of that. Yeah.
because you do, and it is easy to, because you're on your computer, you're doing stuff, just shoot off an answer or shoot off a comment without actually being in the moment. So I like the fact that you think, you know, think about where you're at and where the comment and the timing and you know, the natural rhythms are as well. So now we've had Mary has said that Facebook knows that I wear a lot of green and it shows up in the ads, which is very interesting. Julie Barker, yes, you are great at referrals, Kylie. We'll talk to La Maison when they open up again.
That's a restaurant in Albury Wodonga, right on the border, right on the river too.
Fantastic. Oh, that sounds nice, right on the river. And Mary is welcoming Carmen de Marino Boya to connect her. Welcome. And Julie Barker, that's me first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and so and that's the thing. So sometimes, like first thing in the morning, Julie, do not get on Facebook, or do, but don't comment. That's got to be your rule, because it's just the awareness, though. I think it comes from, once you're aware, you'll notice your pattern, and then you've got to remember what you're also putting out. It's not just about what you're giving to other people, it's what you put out all the time. So if you give that out in the morning, but then in the afternoon you're loving people aren't going to really respond very well. Like, they're going to be like, oh,
she's
like
a bit moody.
I wouldn't even notice probably, but you know.
Yeah.
Like if you sent me one of those messages, Lee, I'd be like, oh, okay.
I probably have.
Probably.
Who knows? But, you know, and some people, and we've talked about this as well at some of our Connect Her events, about how, you know, we all have different time zones of when we are effective. And like, I'm a real morning person. I love getting up early and getting stuff done. And by the afternoon, I start to wane a bit and sort of getting a bit like, oh, I've had enough now. You know, towards, you know, 3-4 o'clock, I'm not the most sociable person. So I try and have as much as possible in the morning.
You know what I'd do is I'd schedule a nap.
Yeah, I should.
If I knew that that's what I did, I don't do that, but if I knew that that's what I did, I totally would just schedule a nap. Because, you know, what is the benefit of being your own boss if you can't boss yourself around?
Oh, true.
In a good way.
Yes, exactly.
And who wouldn't love an afternoon nap every day?
I know that's my time to, like, get in and do stuff and not be as social in those times. So because I'm more social in the mornings, love a chat and a coffee. So I think we have covered a lot today. So we've got some people on with us. I'm going to ask you all to pop in your business Facebook page or website, and we're going to do some shout outs for that. So looking forward to being able to shout out and connect with everybody.
Thank you, Mary, I just read your message.
So Kylie, how is the best way for people to connect with you?
Oh, well, Facebook.
Yeah.
No, so I've got my Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/reignite the fire within. So yeah, that's really, it's a very easy way to contact me, because I've often got my phone on me. It'll come through. If I can't answer it, I'll put it on my list to answer later. Yeah.
Excellent. And of course, you run 3 networking events for Connect Her. So you've got your online Defence Divas, which is connecther.com/DIVA. And that is specifically for defence personnel, wives, girlfriends, partners, and
anyone in
defence
business.
personnel as well,
Yeah.
and first responders. So
Yeah.
specifically for that. So you can't you can't attend if you're not in that criteria.
Yeah.
Rockingham, which is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's a face-to-face
Yeah,
event.
this face-to-face, and
Yay.
it was lovely. It was lovely. We changed venues, and it feels really nice now. So
Yeah.
a bit earlier than some of them would like, but I think when we get a few more professional people who need to go off to work, I think it'll be a good time. So 8 a.m. on the first Thursday of the month.
So connecther.com.au/6168.
Yep.
And then you do one for Perth, which is open to anybody, and it is for Perth and suburbs, and that you're currently doing online.
Yeah, so that one's online, and that's 6,000.
connecther.com.au/6,000. So so it doesn't matter, even if you are based in Melbourne and your business is running, you can always, pop over to an online event as well. Kylie, I want to thank you so much. Before we do these shout outs, I really want to thank you for sharing your knowledge. And as I said, I've been quite in awe of what you've been doing with social media and seeing the interactions that you've done, and particularly supporting and representing Connect Her as well, but also your own business, of the interactions that you do. I think we can learn a lot from you, and you do it so well and so authentically.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I think my biggest tip is, if you see people interacting, interact with them as well. Like pretend you're sitting around a table having a coffee and you're all having a little chat, very much like we do in Connect Her, in that moment of the focus topic, or the synergy circles and things like that. Just have your little bit of input. Like, if it's going to be negative, I'd say take that away and think about that, mull over that one, make sure it's not, the wrong time of the month for sharing that bit of wisdom. But if it's something you're passionate about, I really see the value in the interaction, and that's what the social media wants to create. So if you see a business friend of yours, support their business, and you don't have to buy their stuff, but you can still support their business, because that's what this is about. That's what we do. In networking, that's what we do. We support business women to do their thing. So
Absolutely. And support is a simple thing like a love and above, or a comment, or sharing, like you did with the Blue Butterfly Centre. So excellent.
but you
Great,
did that as
great
well,
tips.
Lee, with one of my friends with Connect Her. Like, she complimented me on something that I love doing, which is connecting women. And then you were able to sort of say, well, we need people like Kylie, like find people like that. Like we love those people. You don't have to be like me, because I don't think most of the other leaders are like me. Because I don't swear as much as me, that's for sure. But
I don't know. I can knock out a few bombs at times.
so yeah,
Yeah.
but just interact with people and interact with their friends, because that supports them. And
Yes.
what you were saying, edifying them.
Excellent. Excellent. Well,